The purpose of this lesson is to teach both about dates and about amortization, for which I will use some examples using dates. So in Excel, there's a lot of date manipulation that's going to have to be done when you do any analysis. So let's say we usually want to count from period 0. So if you were to start making a cash flow that started from period 0 and let's say started January 1st, we would usually start period 0 at December 31st of the previous year. So I would type in something like 12/31/2019, 12/31/2019. This is the standard date format. Now, proper Excel financial modeling methods mean changing assumptions or anything hard-coded to blue text. So for now, what we're going to do is change these to a deep blue. And I'm actually going to change this one to black, and I'll explain why. What we need to do is we need the beginning of period and the end of period. So in this case, it would be beginning of period, in this case a month, and end of period month, just to give you an idea of what I'm doing. And I'd like to do this bottom row using a formula so that way everything flows automatically. So there is a formula, EO month. What this does is you take a starting date and it gives you the last day of the month that you request. So I'll start out by showing you what happens when I put in 1. If I put in 1 month, it will give me the end of the following month. So what I want to do here is, since I want this to be the same month, I'm going to make that 0. So this will be 12/31/19 because we only have usually our purchase price outflow in this period and our loan proceed inflow. So next, I'm going to do +1. Now, if you do +1 in Excel using dates, it takes you to the very next day. So if I were to copy this and stretch it out, as you can see, it's going day by day. But nobody does financial analysis in days. So for this first cell, we have +1, and then this formula I can just carry, and you see it gives me the end of the month. Now, I am going to have to change the formula for cell D because we're not just going to the next day from period 0. So I'm going to use another formula called EDate. Now what this does is you pick a start date and then a certain number of months from that start date. So if I were to make this 12, you can see it gives me the following year. If I were to make it 11, it gives me December 1st. In this case, I want it to be 1 because I want to go to February. And I'm going to take my same EO month formula, and as you can see, it's going to take me to the end of February in 2020, and it even accounts for the leap year. Since 2020 is a leap year, you can see that there are 29 days in February, as we remember that there were. Now if I stretch this out, let's go for 2 years, just for argument's sake, to the end of 2021. Now, as you can see, some of the dates are a little bit longer than my cells there. I can use Alt H-O-I to auto-fit the columns. Now I have 2 years of dates going to the end of 2021. If you would like to check that, there is a formula. Year frac gives you the fraction of a year. So let's say I want to go from 12/31 to 1/31/21. Watch. I pick the start date and the end date, and that's 0.083% of a year. Sorry, 8.3% of a year, and that is 1 month. Now watch what happens if I multiply it by 12. And it gives me exactly 1. I'm going to check to make sure that this is 2 years by using the year frac function. it gives me exactly 2 years. Or if it's times 12, 24 months. Now I'm going to teach some more labeling. So each one of these represents a month or a period. This is period 0 plus 1. As you can see, it's labeling each month. Now, sometimes we want to know what year we're in. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this, I'm going to press Control 1. I'm going to do some custom formatting where we get a number. I use quotes. And I leave a space there so it knows to show a space between the number and the word month. And look at that. And watch this. It's now a functional formula that is just labeled. So I added 1 and 2. Or sorry, 1 and 0. Now 1, 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to teach you how to label the year. So in Excel, there are multiple functions for rounding. So if I were to take the roundup function, take the month, divide by 12, and the number of digits is 0, I get 0. Now watch. 1 and 2. Now, if I were to stretch that out, watch what happens. As you can see, I have 12 months labeled year 3, 12 labeled year 2, and so on. We only want 2 years just to make this easy. And I would like to have it appropriately labeled. So I'm going to do the same custom formatting I had before, except with year. And these are all a formula, so it's all black. Now, all of this is driven by this one blue cell. So if I were to change it to 12/31/2020, all the dates change with it. So to be clear, the most important formulas in Excel that you can have with dates are going to be that EO month function and the EDate function. EO month allows you to pick the end of a month, and EDate allows you to move a certain number of months from a specified date. See you in the next lesson.